Welcome. How you doing? Basically, with another one of these days where Bitcoin is showing bullish patterns, or it's at least breaking out at this point. We're looking at the daily time frame, soon to close for the day, just under an hour. It's shortly after 7 p.m. New York time. 43.45 is the Bitstamp price, up about 5.75%. And I've talked about these previous two: failed move, fast move, and here we had the very similar one to this one in here. Now, as far as this chart is concerned, we can see that after making what was a previous all-time high, and it makes several of them, it had its correctionary phase, it had its failed breakdown, and now it's breaking out. That's what the message of the market is stating. Let's shorten out these time frames. Next one is the 4-hour chart. Within this, we can see the very similar failed move, which would resemble, of course, breaking down below these key levels, and then reestablishing itself to where it was and a bit better within this move, and of course a decent run since this point, as there was a green candle in here, the breakout establishing resistance, coming back to the band. Now it's leaving it. It has just established, it has broke the established resistance noticeably. So there's definite reason to give this a decent chance of having some good gains. Now, on a bullish level, this really, to me, resembles a couple situations. One, you're at previous high coming up, so 44 change is what we'd be looking at, 44.75 up to 45 as the key pre-level. So I don't know if there's going to be resistance there or not, as it is just in a breakout stage, because I think there's a decent chance, if there will be resistance, that you may just come back down to here at the 42 level, or anything even lower, but usually be at key levels, which translates 42. So those are the two likely scenarios when I see situations like such. Let's keep shortening out these time frames. We were on the 4-hour. Let's cut it in half to the 2-hour. And it has a very beautiful pattern as it's breaking through. Here's a situation of making this high, coming back, having several periods within this barely rising 18 average keyword rising. This level of support in the area of this level of resistance. So the same congestion area. It's had resistance amongst this level, and we can see it breaking higher, but more importantly, how it's leaving the 18 average of highs like it is, ready for a major breakout phase. And as I stated before, if it comes up to this point, there could have a good chance that maybe it can only come back down maybe towards this point, but it could very easily still go higher. It's an I don't know situation. Usually I would consider there's a better chance. I think it would pull back, but the buyers are obviously in control of this market, and we're still looking at what the result of this failed move to the fast move, and that's what's happening right now, is the action of the fast move from this failed move. Let's shorten this out even more. This is the 15-minute time frame, and within such we can see the consolidation in here for a few hours as it traded amongst this 42 handle for quite some time. And of course now 1, 2, 3, 4, a little bit more. So it's been breaking out for a good hour or so. It's been up about 100 basis points. That's like what, a couple percent or more? Yeah, it's okay. So there's definitely, even though it's overextended, well, 3% maybe. Even then, 3% is like, yeah, okay, whatever. That shows that because this thing can have easily higher volatility, there's no reason why this has to go down. Now, in short term on this overextended level, it's very common to have situations when you have these breakouts where you may have some sort of quick spikes down to these levels in here that will oftentimes at the least make a move up to the close to the previous high, a good rally at least on a short-term level, and that's the key word, at least, because if this thing's going to get going, a move like that, definitely not uncommon. Let's take a look at this more long-term now within the weekly chart. And it's in a situation where it's already left the 18 average about a month ago. And that was, of course, after the original failed breakdown that made a move in here to the 18 average of lows, something that has done very well historically at finding support. Even situations in here, even you could buy at 540, it goes much lower very quickly. And it was a great buy nonetheless. Throwing that part aside, it has had a nice move. This is a key resistance break, so it's been a good, decent move. And because it's been just a good, decent play, you can say it's just barely starting to get overextended. Although, after the great gain in here, you had like a consolidation sideways week. We can see, we already seen short-term the failed breakdown. But in here, you can see the a little bit of a Pierce move, and it's trading higher like this. So this definitely indicates that it can have one more leg higher for sure. And as we look at this, moves like the 5,000 areas, maybe somewhere in here, even up to 56, are definitely playable areas. Now, of course, when markets become overextended, that really means for me, it's an area you don't want to be a buyer. It's an area you look more towards selling over buying, as you can oftentimes get good deals. Now, think of it this way. If you thought in here it was overextended, you couldn't buy that back. You did here. You could have bought that back. And definitely in here, that was a no-brainer. You could have bought that back. So then you get to the question in here, because for this break, that the equivalency of here, to me, looks pretty much close to where we are now. So that's just another way of looking at it. How big of a break above this resistance is it going to have? And I really can't answer it, but I do realize that 5,000 does mathematically look right. It's a psychological number. And if this area doesn't find much resistance, I mean, it could be a deadly interesting situation as far as huge gains that would follow, like well over 1,000, 12, 1,500 more. Because that's almost like a failed move in my book, because you're supposed to find resistance around here. We'll see if it does. Thank you for tuning in. Take care.